Before the business intelligence process can be implemented, the situation of the company Lufthansa first of all should be taken into consideration. This should be done from a holistic view, taking into consideration the past, the present, and the future. Lufthansa started its business in the 1980s. The company pursued a national strategy, grew steadily over the years, and was able to gain a strong position in the home market. Currently, the company has a home market share of 30%. The present, however, encompasses problems. The home market is almost saturated, and there is no real growth potential for the company. Additionally, the company does not fully understand its customers, and there is no clear product strategy. This leads to several necessary product modifications, which in turn cause additional costs. The modifications also require an intensive training of repair experts, which further increases costs and limits internationalization. Furthermore, the company's resources are limited, which causes trouble in the modification process. In order to find a solution to these problems, the long-term goal of Lufthansa should be to better understand its customer needs and expand to an international market. The outcome of the business intelligence process should be to find an international target market and get a better understanding of customer needs. In the future, this should help the company to increase market shares and reduce the number of individual modifications, which also decrease costs. Third-party market research reports already exist. Based on the suggested annual growth rates for the next 5 years, it can be assumed that the market for heat recovery ventilation systems will grow fastest in Central Europe. It is therefore suggested to focus on the countries with the highest growth rates, namely Austria, Germany, Switzerland, France, and Sweden. The business intelligence process can first of all focus on Austria, as it has the market with the highest expected growth rate. Before going into the design of the business intelligence process, some general aspects should be regarded. First of all, due to Lufthansa's product portfolio, it is suggested to develop 2 product strategies. The strategy for the dispersed systems should target private customers, whereas the strategy for centralized systems should be directed at commercial customers. This differentiation between the 2 groups can help to better target the different customer needs. During the implementation of the business intelligence process, the aspects for both strategies should be regarded. Secondly, existing theories can already give an indication to which country a company should internationalize to. The psychic distance theory suggests that when a firm starts to internationalize, it should first of all go to a country that is psychically close to the home country. Psychic distance is influenced by several factors, such as culture, language, or country development. It analyzes the perceived differences between the cultural environment in the home country and that in the target country to identify possible risks. It can be assumed that the psychic distance between Lufthansa's home market and Austria is rather low, which supports the decision to use Austria as a potential target market in the business intelligence process. Another theory that can be regarded is the establishment chain theory. It suggests that when a firm starts to internationalize, it should pick a market entry form with a lower risk, namely export. Only after some involvement in the country, the firm can increase its investment in the target market. It is therefore suggested that after the business intelligence process has yielded a possible target market, Lufthansa should first of all start by exporting its products to that market. This could be done in cooperation with an established local retailer in order to better reach customers. In the long run, when exporting volumes become very high, it might become necessary to build a warehouse closer to the target market. Due to its central location, good infrastructure, a Baltic Sea coastline, and rather low wages in the logistics industry, Germany might be suited well as a warehousing location.
For the success of the market penetration, companies should emphasize the quality of the products. So far, no data about customers has been collected. Therefore, one of the critical steps when implementing business intelligence process is to hire experts and use the right tools and software. It is also important to have an enterprise-wide perspective, which means that company focuses not only on the customer needs, but also on other market characteristics and financial, legal, environmental, or legislation issues.
In the first step of the business intelligence process, the idea is to define core objectives, which in this case would include understanding an international market as well as the customer needs for target market. These should be aligned with corporate strategy and keeping in mind Denloop strategy as well. The company also needs to understand the current situation followed by future goals such as what do they actually want to achieve and including a various state analysis as well as running a gap analysis. Defining the people who are in charge of this business intelligence process should be decided in this stage as well. Despite the lack of data, some early stage assumptions can be made as well.
First of all, in the second step, it's vital that the company have hired a skilled, in this case, in-house BI team. It's very important to make sure that the BI team is ready to collect huge volumes of data. That means that the BI team must have the right tools and programs to source and collect the data. Store the data, for example to Hadoop, which captures the huge amount unstructured data in real time from various sources. Gather a lot of data both from traditional and big data sources. For example, as one of the big data sourcing tools can be used Google Analytics among many other tools. It would be good to create a company website and utilize cookies among other things to follow consumer behavior in order to get insight of customer behavior and needs. Use as much sources as possible to collect data, especially about customers and their needs, but also about the climate, the market situation, and the market overall, among other things. After this second step, Luftilma has vast data about the target market, and next step is to analyze it. It's necessary to use the right tools also for analyzing and synthesizing the unstructured data in order to separate relevant information for decision making. For example, the process called MapReduce is one of the Hadoop's data analyzing tools. The company can apply Pestel to analyze market's political, economical, social, technological, environmental and legal situation. Apply also Porter's 5 forces model to analyze the competition among existing competitors, bargaining power suppliers, bargaining power buyers, trade of substitutes and trade of new entrants in the market. Also make sure that the management is involved in BI and understands and uses the BI tools, for example Hadoop, in order to utilize those. By integrating the analyzed data to company's data, for example the product development, Luftilma can produce products which are profitable and fit the customers' needs of the target market. As a result, after this step, the company has comprehensive, structured and relevant information of the potential international target market and especially its potential customers to support the decision making of Luftilma's internationalization.
As risks are present in any business, companies have to be prepared for those by having risk assessment, risk analysis and risk management strategies. These strategies prepare the company to fight the risks back with minimal harm for their businesses. Risk assessment and risk analysis together determine the probability of a certain circumstance affecting the company, as well as the impact and effect that that circumstance may have on the company. These processes also determine the corrective actions to take. Risks come in many forms, and it's important that the company can identify the different types of risks that can threaten its business. Creating a list of identified threats helps the company to organize its risk assessment and analysis process. Some risks that Luftilma Denluft may have to face when trying to conquer a foreign market are a too strong competition in that market, a lower standard of living in the target country than in the country of origin. Customer needs may not be directed to the product, meaning that it may not be so common in the new country to install this kind of systems in people's houses as it is in the Nordic countries. A possible political and or economical lack of stability on the target country. Different legislation that, if not addressed properly, may lead to misconduct, and unexpected changes in production costs. These are just a few examples of possible threats for Lufthilma den Luft. Many more could probably be thought of, and that's why this process should be a teamwork, with everybody having an input to make the process as complete as possible. Risk assessment very often uses risk matrices to define the different levels of risk. These matrices are organized as the product of the likelihood of an event happening and the impact of that happening in the business. The risks are then classified in a scale from very low to high or critical. Two other common approaches are the facilitated risk analysis process and the use of software like, for example, logic managers, ERM software. After identifying and categorizing risks and determining what preventive measures are needed, decisions have to be made, and this is when the process of risk management starts. The science-based conclusions drawn from the risk assessment process have to be well documented and passed on to the relevant stakeholders and the Lufthilma den Luft's management, who will then decide if the risks are reasonable or not. If the risks are acceptable, the management creates an implementation plan and defines responsibilities. If the risks are considered too high, the target market will be forgotten and the whole process will be repeated for another country.
In the final step of the business intelligence process, the company uses feedback to create new operations and changing current ones if necessary. After this, the company makes a decision on how to move on by using this gathered data and business intelligence. And depending on the feedback, the business intelligence process might have to be done again. If not, the company can start to adopt these new standards as well as practices by creating an implementation of a new strategy when going abroad. This is done based on the data and reassessing all operations so that they fit into the new strategy, which needs to be formed based on the results from the business intelligence process. After this, make sure the entire organization is aware of the new strategy and goals. And if they do not understand it, it might not function as hoped, and because the competition is tough, they cannot afford mistakes, which means that the entire organization needs to follow this new strategy.
Business intelligence should be implemented as a project so that each step has a timeline and someone who is responsible for it to make sure that the whole process not delays, because time is money. It is also important to have a project plan, what company needs to do when moving to the new market. The conclusion is that Lufthilma, after implementing business intelligence process, better understands customer needs and is able to decide which market is the most suitable for doing business. Lufthilma should use multi-domestic strategy in the long run to adapt to customer needs, which means that company might have to adapt the product to the new market.